Good to go.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Freddy Live. I'm Jon Frederick. I'm the founder and CEO of Freddy Media, and this is Elijah Surratt. He is the marketing director at Lighthouse Buick GMC, and I just found out he's also the new car inventory manager. Elijah, how did that happen? How did you become the marketing director at Lighthouse Buick GMC?
I it's on my LinkedIn profile, and I think it's very true, so I'll bring it here. Uh, Fell into automotive by accident and stayed on purpose, and that sounds like a catchphrase, but it really is true. Started in the service department as a greeter, and
Hmm.
worked my way through a whole bunch of different departments. Worked in accounting for 2 years,
When did
and
you start? You're very young. How old were you when you started?
I was 15 when I started as a service greeter.
Let's go. How much?
Yeah.
What was your hourly rate? Were you paid variably by the waves?
Oh man, I first hourly rate was probably 15 or 16 an hour, which is like Illinois minimum wage.
That's killer. You said 15 or 16 an hour?
Yeah.
That's awesome. And you're in Peoria, Illinois, and that's the home of Caterpillar. You and I were just chatting about that a lot. What does Caterpillar mean to Peoria, Illinois? What does it look like if we were to visit there?
Yeah, so CAT is the Peoria really is the HQ globally of CAT. And funny enough, our primary customer base is CAT employees. And so we're a General Motors dealership, Buick GMC franchise. And so they also get supplier pricing, which they
I was
love.
going to ask that.
Yeah.
How I remember when my brother worked at a Chevy store, supplier pricing was really like stringent. And when we were at Central Atlantic Toyota, it was kind of like whatever deal you decided to give them. Southeast Toyota was extremely stringent. I was off by $1 one time. I got a call from the district manager, ripped my head off. But
Mhm.
how does it work with you guys when you give supplier pricing?
Yeah, it's a certain discount or a certain rate depending on the vehicle. Each model line tends to have something a little bit different, but it's usually pretty significant discounts for the employees who work at a supplier.
And Lighthouse Buick GMC. It's interesting. That was the name of Beaver Toyota before it became Beaver Toyota in St. Augustine. It was Lighthouse Toyota. I always get a kick when I see the old bumper
Really?
stickers. Yeah, but why? What's going on there? You're a single point Buick GMC store. I think truck market's hot. I mean, oil prices might scare you in the short term, but you're a single point location. Are there dealer groups around you? What's your competitive landscape?
Yeah, we have quite a few dealership groups around us. One, I think, just acquired their 17th store, and the other
Mm.
eight or nine. And so, and then of course, there's the single point other family run stores near us too. Luckily, though, with being a GMC franchise, our only real competition is Ford, and we eat that GMC bread and butter, and people love their GMC Sierras, those luxury truck markets.
Really?
And yeah,
So
no,
tell me about that because I see people driving F-150s. F-150 seems like the greatest product in the history of America. How do you beat that? Well, how do you market against the F-150 and persuade people to do a Sierra instead?
yeah, I think our advantage is a luxury truck. The GMC
Mm.
customer is looking for a luxury truck that fits their luxury and premium lifestyle, and I think Ford is perfect for the everyday man who wants a great truck. And I think that's
Oh, that's good. Good dig. How do
but
you go for it? So, how do you take that messaging about the premium luxury truck and inject it into your marketing? Do you, because I think like we all prefer to do marketing based off of value, company values. Like, how do you basically get that message out there instead of we got a great deal this weekend?
I think it's not the answer that most would say. Our secret sauce to our marketing is not the value of the brands we sell, it's the brand that we own,
Mm.
which is
Oh,
our.
love that. I love ownership in your own business. And like it's nice to have an OEM, but like there's a story to tell about your local community and the employing local people and the heart and soul of a family owned business.
Yeah, absolutely. And we really push hard on our lighthouse values and the core beliefs that we carry throughout our business.
What are the core beliefs? We're establishing those in Freddy Media right now. I might steal a few.
Yeah, so our founders are a religious group of people, and that is really propagated throughout the entire business.
Yeah.
We believe that we want to do the right thing because it's the right thing to do, and we just follow that and give every customer the best experience they possibly can.
That's really interesting. And I think that even kind of more overt religious messaging in the Southeast plays really well. Like without naming names, I think that a lot of dealers down here in Florida inject that into their messaging. And, I just had somebody visiting from DC and he said, "Do you think that's a good idea?" I said, "Great idea down here. It is
Yeah.
awesome down here. People
And
love it."
I think it really all comes down to the execution. A lot of dealers can talk a big talk, but if they don't carry it out every day, it's useless. And I think a big advantage that our store has is we do provide that exceptional experience every time. And when we do mess up, we make it right every time.
So how do you make the place special? It comes to people, and then are you open on Sundays?
We are not open on Sundays.
I think you can recruit a better employee when you're not open on Sundays. And you say to the guys, "Hey, you're going to have a pretty normal life if you work here. Like, you're going to be at your kid's soccer game on Sunday morning."
Yeah, our hours are actually very family friendly. Sales is 8 to 5:30.
Whoa, Elijah, I can't even begin it. I mean, not to tell you like how tough my life was when I was 22 years old, but like I just locked the door every night at midnight, 1 a.m., came
Yep.
back at 8 a.m. And it was a grinder. My schedule when I first started, Elijah, off every third Sunday. That's what it was.
Mm.
I remember I got so into, I bought into that so hard. I was
Mm.
like, the only way to ascend is through extreme hard work. Here's like a pretty bad symptom of that is like, I remember my brother got home from Afghanistan and I worked instead of going to the welcome party. So I think sometimes in automotive, I think other like our peers in automotive have those like horror stories as well, where we kind of didn't, prioritize our families, or we couldn't see the forest through the trees, or we think that right now is the most important thing, but it's actually about being great over time. And is the schedule like something to tout when you're recruiting good people?
Absolutely. We put it right on our job postings and say we have
Yes.
family-friendly hours. Our Monday through Friday is 8 to 5:30, and Saturday, this is even better, 9 to 4.
Love that. And then
Mm.
do your team like I was blown away when the first Rust Flips Whips training we ever did was at the Rohrman Auto Group. It was at the Toyota store there run by Zach Kinch, who's like a wonderful person. And all the guys like went to dinner afterwards. Is
Yes.
that kind of the vibe out there? Does that exist at Lighthouse?
Yeah, a lot of our team members will do that. They'll go golf, go out for dinner with their wives, things like that. And then Saturdays, we're not a pizza store, we're a Chipotle store.
Stop it. Oh my goodness. If I told you the budget I had when I was spending at Easton Toyota, it was fried chicken at Royal Farms. You don't know what that
Mm,
is, but it's a gas station. It
sounds
was
great.
potato wedges and fried chicken. I think we had a $5 per person budget.
Mm,
And sometimes pizza was cutting it close on that. So
mm.
Elijah, tell me about what's working in marketing right now. Let's run through it. Do you do OTT? Are you a believer?
I was not a believer until recently, and shout out Vibe. I'm now getting
Oh,
on
nice.
OTT,
You found a
just started
winning
last month,
partner in
actually.
it?
Yeah.
So here's my thesis on OTT. I love it. It's where the eyeballs are, but you should probably create some good content. Whenever I'm watching football on Saturdays and I see like my friends who own car dealerships in Jacksonville, and it's like a static image and it just looks like one in a million. It looks like a national advertisement, and it's not. I was talking creative ways to create UGC, like user generated content, should be how you perceive OTT. Do you do some cool like video content for your OTT?
Yeah, so I am a firm believer in using real content of real people from our dealership that is professionally done,
Yeah.
and I do not use OEM assets. So our
Yeah.
entire strategy behind
They're
OTT.
putrid. They're a turnoff. It's
Yes.
like it's too sterile.
I do think there's a value to showing an offer, for the lower funnel shopper, but why would I show an offer to someone when they don't even know if they want to do business with me? I have to prove that I'm a good company to do business with. And so we actually have 2 branding videos running right now, basically showing our values, that we're a fun place to work with, we're a great place to
Oh,
work with, and that we want to take care of you.
I love that marketing message. You're not giving away the house. You're saying like, hey, if you come here, you're gonna have a good time. Like, we're not
Yep.
gonna mess around with you. You're gonna enjoy your experience, and that's more important than price. I think if you
It
poll
is.
consumers, I think that they value time and experience over price.
One of our our general manager and quite a few of the managers say value over price every time.
Yeah. And then, are you a big AI guy? I loved what you posted on LinkedIn the other day. It's actually what encouraged me to reach out to you. You described your implementation experience with Pam, and I was like, oh, that's really cool because normally marketing directors are like burning someone to the ground on a failed implementation, and you like complimented somebody on a good implementation. So, what's your thesis on AI? Where does it sit right now? You don't have to give the secret sauce away, but where are you?
I think AI is coming. It's the buzzword of 2026.
Yeah.
Even though our friends at More Than Cars are going to call it the year of the human, and I love it. I am so part
Yeah.
of the year of the human. But unfortunately, AI is here and it's here to stay. In our store, we're taking very active steps every single day, for me, every hour, to integrate AI into everything that we're doing, but in a way that doesn't hurt the experience and doesn't hurt our employees. We want to make sure that everything is done correctly and integrated so that people who maybe their task was replaced by an AI can now be moved to something that maybe was didn't get enough attention before.
I like AI to inject a better human experience. You're giving
Yes.
them more context. You're enabling somebody to greet, hey, he's going to be there at 2 o'clock. Hey, Mr. Frederick, nice to see you. I have the Sierra pulled right here. Let's
Yes.
check it out. And Jim's going to begin the appraisal on your truck. Like, I think that's kind of the customer experience that AI may give us the efficiency for. And then instead of spending 4.5 hours there, they're spending 2 hours and they're
Right.
like, wow, that was great. If that's the outcome AI can give you, then we can give those AI vendors 3 grand a month or whatever they want.
Exactly. And really just making, I'm all about hyper personalization right now. I think the
Yeah.
days of templated BDC responses are over. I I never want to see it in my store. And we are moving very quickly to everything being hyper personalized. We have a ton of data on our customer, where they came from, what they're doing, and we want to serve them hyper personalized content based on exactly what they want to see.
So you've had the advantage of finding a nice career at an early age where you get to stay close to home. Did you go to college?
One semester, yeah, I went for computer science and said, too much math, I'm out.
Okay, so you have this brain where you have an aptitude for technology. You've flirted with college, but then found something close to home where you're like, "Hey, this is something that can fill my cup and give me opportunity to really solve complex problems." And then is it giving you all the things you'd ever want in terms of like a technical tech career?
I don't think automotive is nearly as techy as like anything else. It's what, 15 years behind? Is that what we're saying now? But it's fun because there aren't solutions for what we're trying to solve, or the solutions that are there are half baked. And so, really working hard to build solutions and buy and integrate solutions that work really well and are not just bolted on.
And then what's a weird mission you're on right now, a problem you're trying to solve, or something that you feel like you're in the midst of solving? Do you have any like weird thing
Mm.
going on, or you have like a service greeting issue, or some cool thing that you feel like you've developed something in house that you've solved for a process gap?
That I'll have to keep close for now.
Nice. Oh, I like that. I like the kind of like don't show all your cards thing of marketing directors because there is some secret sauce, and ultimately that's your job security, right?
Yeah, there is definitely some secret sauce happening, and I think you'll see more in the coming months.
And then you also, I don't think like vendors are allowed to know this, but like you're a member of Auto Genius. Ben Hadley said it last week. So like, what is Auto Genius? I know it to be a Slack thread, but like you communicate among other marketing directors of other organizations, and it might be kind of cool because like you're Lighthouse Buick GMC, but you might get exposure to an enterprise dealer group in South Florida or DC, and you could share insights between each other in a secure environment.
Exactly. So a common phrase that we'll see, and really we talk about, is what happens in AG stays in AG. But
Yeah,
what
it's
I can,
Fight Club.
it is, it's so much fun. Yeah. But what I can share is that it is a very dynamic group of marketers and technologists and AI enthusiasts that are all really working together to make automotive better in a lot of ways.
And Ben Hadley was touting your ability to innovate. He was touting how you're somebody who's getting your hands dirty with AI and building things. And here's my thesis on where AI sits. I think I get so enthused and I stay up all night building something, and then I deploy it, and it's almost like a marketing funnel to show other companies what I'm capable of. Then I get to go do something, and charge them an hourly rate or whatever it is. Because I feel like internally at Freddy, we have this like cool aptitude to build. But do you have live products that you've built at your dealership, both internally, and then talk through the calculus of this specifically? I'm going to build an internal tool that maybe just shows cash in transit to the general manager, or the stakes are higher when I release something customer facing. Are you building, and then how do you bridge the gap between internal tool and customer facing tool?
Yeah, we have a couple internal tools right now that we're using very heavily and have become a critical piece of our business. As far as external tools, I'm very hesitant, and I recently was in the car dealership guy group, circles,
Hmm.
and someone was talking about building a voice AI for their customer phone system. That's an area that I personally, and as much as I love AI, I'm very hesitant to do it myself. I I've taken the approach now with our business that I want to try to build what we need before I'm going to buy it. However, with something that's going to face a customer that they're interacting with thousands of times a day, I want to buy it, and I want a team of 30 people working on that team to make sure it's the best experience for the customer.
Do you buy into like the SaaS apocalypse? Microsoft this afternoon on X, on my way driving frantically to get here on time, they said that they're laying off 7% of their workforce, but Microsoft's got deep pockets, so they gave everybody early retirement.
Hmm.
Um, so like the monthly recurring revenue and premium that a software company was able to charge, for the past 30 years, that's at risk right now. And then how maybe it's nascent on like the development curve, maybe it's not mature yet, but I think it's getting there. And then I think the biggest prohibitive factor to success in that is doing it in a secure environment, and then also data access. So like,
Yes.
how the heck am I going to get access to your CRM? How the heck am I going to get access to used car value? I'm ideas are pouring out of my ears, but rubber meets the road when I need to go get Mannheim data.
Yes.
So like, do you believe that every software company is going to go to zero, but for data protection, or what do you think on that?
I think we're actually going to see the rise of potentially a new company. Um, I think a little bit back to the data plumbers of 10
Yeah.
years ago. I think we're going to see that happening more and more. And you're going to have these well established companies, and maybe some that exist right now are going to transition into this market. And they're going to be your data warehouse, your data connector, to
Yep.
be able to plug your AI tools into them, because they've spent the years, they've spent the money building the relationships with the OEMs, the technology companies, all the SaaS, everything going on, and then they're going to build an open system for you to tap into. I think that's what's coming.
I think so as well. And then what's your sensitivity to being like model agnostic? And then, I mean, are you aware that all these models are very subsidized right now? And are you
Right.
afraid of the eventual cost shooting up a ton if you become too dependent on them?
Yeah, I mean, my Claude Max subscription is $100 a month, and I think I'm
Yeah,
probably
isn't that great? You feel like you're Harry Potter for a hundred
right.
dollars a month.
Right. I mean, for 100 a month, that's what, like, 4 dinners? Who cares, right?
Yeah.
Um, and that's probably, better than I do, $10,000 in tokens, more, maybe,
Yeah.
depending on how much you use it. Mine's probably 15 or 20, if I had to
I
guess.
called a I called a data center broker that I went to high school with in Baltimore, and now he's in Dallas. And I was like, "Hey man, how are companies negotiating enterprise deals on compute?" And he said, "Oh, I was copied on an email thread recently with like the biggest university in Texas, and they wanted access to Claude, that model you just described. And
Hmm.
Claude Anthropic shot him back $60 million quote. So, and then I said, "How did they peg that to value?" And
Hmm.
he was like, "It's extremely ambiguous."
Hmm.
So I think we're in this run of subsidization, and then utilization is taking off. The best devs in the world are burning tokens at 1,000 miles an hour. And then simultaneously, the Uber CFO last week said that his company burned all their token budget in April. And then meanwhile, we're laying off the junior devs Or I don't know. I don't know the decision. Maybe they're laying off the senior devs. I don't know, making the cheaper junior ones work more efficiently. But I do think we're like walking into a bit of a trap.
I agree. And Jensen at NVIDIA recently
He's
said,
the best.
yeah,
Jensen's the best.
yes,
He
if
got in a
his,
fight with that 25-year-old kid on
yeah,
on X the other day.
yeah, if his developers don't spend $250,000 a year in tokens, he's disappointed.
Amen. I agree with that. Although I love ambiguous markets that have ambiguous value, like brokering media deals for influencers. So it's like 250 G's in tokens. What model are we talking? Anthropic,
Mm,
Claude, or I mean GPT, or like,
yeah,
how do we
yeah.
even peg the value of a token?
Right. Yeah, and it really is so ambiguous and how many tokens are you using for each message and each task. It's very interesting to watch. I think Lovable
So
is a very interesting thing to watch on that too. Their token
yeah.
strategy is very interesting.
So who's the best value right now? I use Emergent because they're model agnostic, and we did marketing for them early on, and I got I use them a ton. But you use Lovable a lot.
No, so I don't use any of the front end tools. I've dabbled a little bit, but decided to just go straight into Claude Code terminal and just run
Yeah,
with it.
yeah. I think people with your acumen should do that. But I
Yes.
also believe I think like my brother was asking me the other day, territory manager for Caterpillar, how could AI possibly do my job? And I started to say, well, what do you do? He goes, well, I communicate to these guys and I quote them prices on this. And here's the software that I use. And I said, well, we would need data access to the software you use, your inventory management. We'd have a Claude agent quoting people out things. And then you could probably just visit sites and you could kind of like ensure the deliveries are good. And you could, instead of just managing Loudoun County, you could probably manage Loudoun, Fairfax, Montgomery. You could start, one person could manage a bigger territory. I think of AI in two ways. Let's replace the tools we're already paying for, or if you're a frontline employee at a company, let's figure out how to build a version of what you do on a daily basis because that's what the company's paying you for. So go build yourself, build, the thing that you do every day and then turn around and sell it back to your company. I
Well,
think
and
that's the gold rush right now.
really, even taking AI out of the equation, isn't that what every company does? Is we train the next person to take over this role so we can keep moving up and doing better things. The only thing different about this is that a computer is now doing it instead of another person. And I think
Yeah,
the whole strategy is
that
keep moving people into places where they can be more efficient, better serve the company, and better serve the customer.
so you're participating in industry events. Did you go to NADA?
I skipped NADA this year.
And then you're going to go to a SOTU, right?
We had a SODU, yes.
Are you excited for it? What do you expect there? Are you just going to get bombarded by vendors? How does a guy like you prepare himself for that?
A SODU is going to be so much fun. And every conference you just expect to get bombarded by vendors. If I don't come back from a conference with at least 2 pages of notes of things that I want to go learn how to do or implement,
Really?
my time. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Now suddenly I'm on the other side of the table,
Mm.
Elijah, where every time I like look at my Savannah made it a rule that I'm not allowed to look at the credit card while I'm at a conference because it's just like I'm burning money like I've never burned before. And then somehow it always brings a return. But it's interesting. I remember early days at car dealership guy, I was just sprinting booth to booth, selling things to everybody there. And this was the first time that I kind of like, my team was selling, but I was able to kind of enjoy myself and probably feel almost like the way you feel when you're at a conference.
Yeah. I think really one of the biggest benefits of a conference, Kate Howell from Mullinax Ford and I were talking about this. It's not what happens in the keynotes or the panels or the workshops, it's the conversations in the hallway. Those are where everything really happens and where you're really learning and taking things back with you are those conversations in the hallway.
So you seem like an extremely nice person, yet every marketing director gets bombarded with phone calls on a daily basis, cold call. Shout out to those BDRs doing their job. And then you probably get a lot of cold emails and unsolicited texts. And I'm sure your personal privacy is violated 11 times a week.
Yeah.
But how do you determine when to take a demo with somebody and what is your preferred method of outreach?
You know, I really like when I'm introduced to a company through someone I know and trust. A lot
I
of the time,
totally agree with that. I'd rather triangulate my way in than cold call my way in.
yeah, I don't think we have any vendors right now that they reached out to me, and that's how we ended up on that journey of partnership together. I don't
No
think we
one,
have,
you've never bought anything off a cold call?
I don't think so. None that I can
Elijah,
remember.
I'm a touch of a rainmaker on a vendor cold call. I can like just kind of talk and then like weave my way into a demo.
I think that's a great strategy for certain marketing directors.
Yeah. So preferred method of outreach is introduction from somebody that's credible, that vouches for something in a certain way.
Yeah, and a great example of that would be AutoGenius. If I'm looking at something or someone says, "Hey, we had a great experience with X vendor," I'm going to say, "Oh, okay, I should go check that one out." And so I'll go do my own investigation, probably have a private conversation with those people or multiple people, throw it out to the community and say, "Hey, who's using these people? What do you think?" And getting that open and honest feedback to know if this is a
Is your
vendor.
marketing budget a zero-sum game? When you buy something, you got to say goodbye to something? Or is it like, hey, this thing could add a ton of value, and I think our foundation's so sturdy that we probably shouldn't kick out Jim, but we need Bob?
Mhm. It really depends on the situation. So we recently implemented what I call a shell budget. So we're going to set a certain amount per quarter based on how many vehicles we sell times a certain dollar amount per car. And then within that budget, we can pretty much do whatever we need to do.
Yeah. And then let's talk about Full Path, because Full Path was kind of like the company that gave me a shot to be a vendor.
Hmm.
Mike Colaccio will tell you that he did not want to hire an in-store guy. He meant to cancel the interview with me, accidentally hired me anyway. And then I was pretty successful working for them. I'd have a month where I was the top sales guy, but um, I don't know what they caught an exit today to Cox Automotive. So now Full Path is going to get absorbed up into the big machine. And I'm so proud and happy for all those guys. I think some lives changed this morning, and I'm really, really happy for them. I would say Full Path kind of showed me a world that was like very caring. I came from this like shrewd in store, like, month end close is so intense, and month end close at Full Path's intense. But they taught me the fundamentals of selling software. They also exposed me to like a leadership style that I think was, everybody always says that working for a foreign company, they're like very tough on you, but that wasn't my experience at Full Path. They were like so kind, and they would like communicate. And I also saw how they, observed their religious holidays. And, they weren't working on, I think it was like Friday and Saturday, and they like stuck to that.
Yes.
And that was pretty cool to observe as well. So these people they kind of like had things that they had to work around, and they were successful despite that. And I think all of us should really be inspired by what happened at Full Path, by a bunch of good people working together, taking on something that in the early days everybody thought was like too ambitious. And then they found product market fit, and then they started crushing. And then the coolest outcome of all time happened.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, Full Path they are the company that really introduced me. They were actually my first software acquisition as a marketing director.
Ooh, who referred you?
That's a great question. I wish I could remember.
Ben Hadley.
Probably Ben, honestly. Um, and I really fell in love with the Full Path team because you really said it well. They have an incredible team, probably the best in the industry. They care about their employees, they care about their customers, and that partnership really changed my mindset on a vendor versus a partnership. I don't want to buy vendors. I want to build partnerships and relationships. I'm so tired of buying
Have they
things.
visited you out in Peoria?
I visited them, they visited me, all the things.
I got to visit them in Israel. I
That's
got to
awesome.
take a bunch of car dealers to Israel. It was like, I've had a few holy smokes moments in my car career where, I think my favorite of all time was Russ Flips Whips, and I got to go train all the Toyota stores in like Melbourne and Adelaide with the Peter
Mm.
Kittle Auto Group. That was just like, I'm standing there on the edge of the earth, and I'm like, I cannot believe that this insane career that I've kind of like spun up out of thin air has brought me to here. And then another one would be going to Full Path and like taking a helicopter to Golan Heights with their VC, and I'm like sitting there like looking over Syria, and there's like a tank next to me, and then even spending time in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, it was life changing. And
Hmm.
I think you're 21 years old. You have 40 years ahead of you. I mean, what do you think of like the potential of a young guy who's displayed a ton of acumen? You've probably been promoted 4 times already. What is like the career potential look like for you in automotive?
That's a great question. I don't know. I think there's a ton of opportunities, and I'm excited to see where this life takes me.
Yeah, I think that's important for you to be like open to opportunities. I even think a lot of people in stores, when they step back for a second, they go, "Holy smokes, I've just dedicated my life to learning a industry that's supremely valuable." And I think guys like Adam Gedke, who came here after being the COO of Van Horn, or Jack Ballinghoff just started working with us after being the general manager of Tyson's Toyota, then the COO of the Oarsman Group. And sometimes those conversations, when I begin persuading somebody to come and join this pirate ship, it's like, hey man, dealers really value your opinion. They go, I don't know. No, they don't. And I'm like, no, no, no. Like they value your opinion a lot. Like there's a lot to be built around you. And then we just need to figure out what that is. Like, that has to become apparent to you at this point if you're going to a SO2 and doing all those things.
Yeah, I never would have put myself at a SODU or even doing this live call. Um, it's very interesting how life works out, and people see value in other people. Ben Hadley is one of those. I consider him a mentor and coach.
Oh,
He's
good for you. That's so important to find people like that.
Yeah, I texted him the day of the live a couple weeks ago, and I said, "Dude, incredible live," He goes, "Did I say your name right?"
It
I'm like,
means so much to me that like a guy like you watches this, frankly, because that's who it's for. Like somebody asked me the other day, they were like asking me to do something that was like 10 pegs above my skill level. But as always, I'm like, well, I have a team that can do it. But they said, no, John, like we understand where you sit in the marketplace, but we trust you to communicate to car dealers. I said, yes, that's what I do. I know how to talk to them. But how's the market in Peoria, Illinois? What's the like? Has there been any? The price of oil shot up. Are trucks in trouble? What's the selling environment like around you?
It's been a very interesting couple months. Transparently, it has been a rough couple months with the market and the affordability, what I will call crisis. And we're positioning ourselves in a way to combat that with lower trim vehicles, lower price vehicles, really targeting those people who need a new car and maybe don't have the budget. And so we want to find the right vehicle for them. A couple
You know
ways that we,
what's interesting, Elijah? I remember being in a management company meeting when I was really young. And I remember when it was like, we only sell cars at 72 months. And like 6 months later, it was like, we'll go to 75. And then like a year into the business, we're like, have you heard about 84? And then
yeah.
somebody released, I think it was, I don't know who said it this week, but it was like um, 30% of auto loans are at 84 months. What's your thesis on extended terms? Is it like something you just have to do? Do you have like, how do you manage that?
I have a similar thought on the no payments until spring or no payments until 100 or for 120 days. I hate those as a marketing
Yeah.
director, despise them because all we're doing is just pushing off payments that you're going to have to go pay back later. It's not free money. And
Yeah.
does it maybe work for a certain type of customer? Absolutely, for sure. I don't like the brand image personally.
Yeah. And then have you guys ventured into social media? Have you tried to crack that?
Yeah, so we got a wonderful guy. He's our social media manager, Luke, and he has really put a lot of attention into social media and taken it to an area that I never would have taken it. That's not my
Oh,
area.
really? What's he done with it?
Yeah, we've got a few viral videos now. One of them hit like 15 million cross-platform, and yeah, we've had a great time with it, and really
What's
proud of.
it like when you hit a viral video? You're the marketing director. That social media guy's going at it every week. Luke's just trying to come up with a new idea, and then he hits. What do you do with it when you go viral?
You know, Great question. I don't know.
Because I believe in it's like get the command center together and figure out how to get more area under the curve because we just found something that resonates with people.
It's so hard to attribute sales leads or even website traffic to social media. That's actually an area where I'm very stuck as a marketing director. How do
Oh,
I
I got a guy for that. It's
Okay,
super
okay,
cheap, under 500 a month.
okay. I mean, every vendor's $4.99, right?
Are they? I thought every vendor's 2,500. That's
Well,
always been my
you know,
thesis.
this is interesting. I'm seeing it split. It's like $4.99 or $12.99.
When I started with Freddy, there was a vendor that wanted us to resell them that I believe in a lot, and we have a relationship with him. He's coming to go fishing with us in May or whatever, but his product was 400 a month. And I was
Hmm.
like, man, that's so cool. Like that's so cool to just be like, hey, we're not 2 grand a month. We're 400 a month and like the outcome's great. And I said to the team, I'm like, it's important for us to have something like that in our arsenal that's like inexpensive. Even you can use it on a prove it scenario, like, hey, throw this thing in there for 30 days, watch it increase your shown appointment rate, and it's 400. And how could you not love that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, Elijah, it's so awesome talking to you. I'm really excited about you going to a SOTU. I'm really excited about you being a 21-year-old leading a marketing department at a successful dealership in the Midwest. And I'm so appreciative of you coming on the show today. It's been a great conversation. Can you leave us with anything? Do you have any cool initiatives coming up?
Nothing initiative, but I would just keep saying build relationships, don't buy vendors. Build a relationship every
Yes.
time. Relationships
Build
win every
relationships,
time.
don't buy vendors. And then, Elijah, are you aware that you're stuck in the car business? Like, even if you tried to leave, you couldn't?
Yeah, I'm locked in, ball and chain. I actually can't leave this room. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah, man. Well, I would buy stock in you if I could. I really believe in young guys that commit to the car business, men and women both. And congrats on everything you've built at Lighthouse Toyota. I'm sure it's more than you, that you have an amazing team around you. And it's cool that you have owners that believe in you and kind of hand a lot of control to a young guy who's been able to display the ability to prove ROI.
yeah. I wish we had a Toyota store, but we're Buick GMC for right now.
Yeah, man. Hey, Elijah, it's so great chatting with you. I'm inspired by you, and I really appreciate your insights on the industry.
Yeah. Thanks, John.
Thanks, man.